Hello, and we are live. This is Rachel with the Helotes Chamber of Commerce. We would like to thank you so much for joining us today for the 2021 Virtual State of the City. We're super excited to have you here and super excited to have Mayor Tom Schoolcraft. So if you would join me in introducing Tom Schoolcraft.
Howdy. We're so glad to have you. I'm so glad to be here. I want to thank the Chamber for once again inviting me to do a State of the City presentation for whoever's interested in learning about the state of the city of Helotes. And I think you didn't mention questions, but you should be able to type in chat questions. If you have questions during the presentation, chat them in, and then the staff here will go ahead and hand them off to me. And at the end, we'll go ahead and handle any questions that might come up. So again, we're here virtually, and it's kind of a new experience for all of us. We've spent, the staff has spent the last couple of days trying to figure out all the technological difficulties. So we think we have it, and hopefully you can see me and see the presentation. But what I'm going to be covering today should take a little more than 30 minutes, maybe closer to 40. I'm going to be covering some of the financials for the city of Helotes. And then we're going to talk a little bit about COVID, a little bit about the snowstorm, and then talk about some of our departments, and then we'll finish up with questions. So again, I appreciate the Chamber having me here, and we'll get right to it. Whoops, my screen just went black. Oh, there we are. Okay. I want to start off this first slide. When we talked last year about doing this, it was just before the COVID hit, and we canceled the State of the City, and then we were trying to do it virtually later on in the year, and it just didn't work. But at that time, I wanted to introduce our new city administrator. She's not really new anymore. I won't say she's old, but she is our city administrator, Marion Mendoza. And Marion came to us from Alamo Heights. She had 14 years there, and her last position was assistant to the city manager. And she came to us very highly qualified and started February 3rd of 2020, and barely got her feet wet here in Helotes, and COVID hit, and that kind of threw a wrench into everything. So she and I and the staff worked pretty hard the first part of 2020, getting used to the new COVID regulations and all of the things coming out of Washington and the governor's office in Austin. And so she's had a really hard learning curve, but hey, she's in there now in full gear in Helotes, and COVID is hopefully pretty much behind us. And we're working our way out of it, and we're so glad for that. I miss seeing all of you. I meant to say earlier, I miss our monthly meetings. It was always a highlight of my month to be able to go to the chamber meetings and shake hands with everybody and get a few hugs and all of that. But hopefully we'll get back into that before the year's out this year. Getting into the financials, I know that's exciting to everyone, but did want to talk about our budget. And always keep in mind a budget's just like your budget. It's an estimate. It's our best guess at what our revenues are going to be and what our expenses are going to be. And this year, our anticipated revenues, back when we did the budget in August and September of last year, we anticipated a little over $8.3 million. This is pretty much our highest budgeted amount that we've had so far, and we're pretty much on track revenue-wise. Of that 8.37, salaries and benefits generally hit 50 to 70% of our revenue this year. It's right at 60%. Our 5.01 million goes to salaries and benefits for our 70 full-time employees. And that leaves us a little under 3.4 million, or about 40% of our budgeted revenues that go to our day-to-day operations and our other things that are required for us to do as a city. So that pretty well covers our budgeted expenses for revenue and expenses. Wanted to talk a little bit about sales and use tax. You may have heard are seeing that many Texas cities have had a hard time during the COVID episodes, and their revenues dropped dramatically, and they had to do layoffs, they had to do wage freezes or hiring freezes, that kind of thing. But I'm real pleased to say here in Helotes, none of that affected us. In fact, our sales tax revenues were up every month last year over 2019. And this graph, even though the numbers might be a little hard to see on your screen, you can see the top blue line is the city's sales and use tax portion of what we receive each month from the comptroller. And you can see that we've, since 2016, had a pretty steep curve, or a straight line on our sales and use tax numbers. And right now, we're just under 4 million. We're 3.3 million in sales tax compared to 2010, when we were just $580,000 in sales tax revenue. So you can see that our growth since 2010 has been pretty dramatic and all positive. And I think that's just the general atmosphere we have here in Helotes for building in general. We've encouraged development, and we've received a lot of good feedback from our new developers, and they come in here and we get new businesses, and it's just part of the way a city operates. The EDC is the middle line. They're doing well. The city gets 1% of the sales tax revenue. The EDC gets 0.5%, and that's just the way that operates. But they're doing quite well. And then the bottom line is our street maintenance sales tax. This is something that we just started in 2016. We had an election in November of 2015, and the sales and use tax, or the street maintenance sales tax, was approved by the voters. It went into effect in April of 2016, and it's grown since then. And we now get between $50,000 and $80,000 a month that goes into a dedicated fund strictly for street and right-of-way maintenance and drainage maintenance, drainage culverts, that kind of thing. And so that's allowing us to do some pretty major street maintenance projects, which we'll get into a little later. This is a chart that I found interesting and asked Marion to include it. It's monthly sales and use tax. Hopefully you can see it. If not, all of these charts are available as public information. If you just ask for them, we can send them to you. But it just illustrates year over year, dating back to 2012, what our sales tax revenue was each month. And you'll notice 2020, every month, and keep in mind, the months that the number shows up are 2 months in arrears. In other words, April, the number that shows up in April is actually the February tax that was sent into the comptroller's office. So there's a 2-month delay in us getting each month. But you'll see that the numbers were considerably higher for last year over 2019. And the first 3 months of this year, actually our sales tax revenues are over last year by almost $200,000 a month. We're not sure why. We have 2 large volume producers of sales tax collections, and then all of our other businesses have done fairly decently even through the COVID of last year. Some had a tougher time than others, but overall it looks like you guys, the citizens, and have been shopping at our businesses, and you business owners that are in Helotes, you've managed to stay open and find a way to do business during COVID. We commend you for that and encourage it to continue. Property taxes, pretty much the same story. You can see that the property tax revenue has gone up each year for the last 5 or 6 years, and that's because of the new construction going on in both residential and commercial. Our sales tax rate has stayed the same for the last 7 years at 35 cents per $100 valuation, but our new construction, mainly Brycewood for residential, and then our spotty custom homes that are around the area, and then our commercial developments. And so that's basically it. What we're real proud of here is balancing our property and sales tax revenue. A healthy city has a good balance between property and sales tax. And when I first came in 07, our property tax was around 52% more or less. of the revenue, and the sales tax was around 25%, as I recall. Right now, they're both balanced at about 40% of our revenue. So you have property tax and sales tax each at 40%, and that leaves 20% coming from other sources, mainly fees, franchise fees, permit fees, those kinds of things. There's a wide array of sources of income, and it all falls into that 20% bracket. Okay, just want to touch on a little bit of COVID, just to be able to talk about it and tell you what we've done over the last year. And like I said, sales tax, our revenues overall were about 38% higher in 2020 than they were in 2019, which is, of course, a very good thing. And we were able to get a considerable amount of CARES Act money from the feds, funneled through Bandera County, but it was at $55 per capita or per person in Helotes, and it came to just over $500,000. And we were able to, that was for reimbursing us for expenses that came about during the year. And we were able as a city, you see there, supplies, labor, contractual services, telecommunications, small business grant program, all of those combined, we were able to get reimbursed for $403,185. We're especially proud of being able to use most of that money for small business grants program. And Marion, our city administrator, brought the idea to me to start a grant program. And of course, I said, sure, let's go for it. So she asked Bandera County if that would qualify, and by golly, if they didn't say it would. And so we put a grant program together. The EDC handled part of it and the city handled part of it. The bottom line, we were able to assist 18 local businesses, small businesses, each with a $20,000 grant. So that was a total of $360,000 of the 403 we were able to spend. And we're so pleased. It was very humbling and somewhat emotional on some of those presentations of those $20,000 checks, because those folks really needed the extra boost in their revenue source, and we were glad to be able to provide some of that. And this is just 4 of the 18 businesses. We have Winthrop Lanny's, the Antique Depot in Old Town, the Cracked Mug, and then Alamo Karate Academy were 4 of the 18. And you see there, we just gave them the big check, and of course they didn't take that to the bank. We gave them a regular check too. So it was fun doing it, and we were so glad to be able to assist them. That gets COVID out of our way, so let's go to the winter storm. I call it the big chill. And February 15th, we all woke up to snow on the ground, and this is just some pictures of the fitness park, FM 1560, and of course City Hall. And it was one of those things. I know I've been here 41 years, and this is only the second time I've really seen this much snow at one time. And the time before that was 1985 in January. We had about a little over 12 inches of snow at that time, but the temperatures this time were much worse and created a lot more havoc as far as power outages and water shortages and those types of things that we all endured at some point or another. But the winter storm hit us as hard as anybody, of course, but I wanted to just say how pleased and happy we were that our emergency services departments, all of them worked flawlessly. I'd like to give kudos to our police, fire, EMS, of course, but our dispatchers, of course, they're the heartbeat of our emergency services departments. And then we can't leave out public works. And I'll get into public works a little bit here in a minute, but I do want to say that our dispatchers, many of them did not want to leave because they were afraid they wouldn't get to come back for their next shift. So they elected to stay. And we set up cots, and we had Marco's Pizza brought over a whole bunch of pizzas. So I think they ate pizza for 2 or 3 days. And that was all of our departments, fire, EMS, our paramedics, police, dispatch, everybody that wanted some pizza was welcome to it. But I think some of our police officers also stayed over. So it was kind of an interesting week for all of those folks, and they just hung in there, and their commitment was unbelievable. And we just can't thank them enough for their dedication to the city. Marion also brought up an idea to have a water distribution center here at City Hall. And I thought that was a great idea because we did have water here, of course. And so we put it out on social media. And about 80 households, mostly out of Iron Horse Canyon subdivision, came out here, and we didn't limit quantities as long as there wasn't a line, and it was all very nice and people were very appreciative. So at least 80 families were able to get water when they needed it. And that's our winter storm summary there. And this is just a few pictures of the cots and the pizza. And then you see our Public Works Department. Boy, I tell you, those guys were out there day and night in all those temperatures on that skid loader, and I know it was cold sitting in that seat, but they were keeping snow off the road. And the little picture there on the right is a special trailer that we have, and that's something our Public Works Department uses to spread de-icing agent on the bridges. And they were doing not only our streets and bridges, but TxDOT's as well on Bandera Road and 1560. And they were out there, like I said, 24/7. They did a yeoman's task on taking care of the city and keeping the streets open. So next time you see a Public Works crew out there working around the city, give them a thumbs up and let them know you appreciate them. I would like to say, getting back to COVID, during COVID, we stayed open all the time. Our city hall was never closed. A lot of our employees worked remotely, but we were here during all business hours helping anyone that needed help as they came into City Hall. And all of our departments stayed open. All of our emergency responders were there. And so COVID didn't affect us in too much of a negative way overall. Just talking a little bit about upcoming projects. We just kicked off a new video series called Mayor's Corner, or The Mayor's Corner. And that's going to be a weekly video just updating the citizens and everybody that's interested on what's going on in the city. Just a 3 to 5 minute video is our goal. We really wanted to start it last year, but had to delay it because of the COVID and everything. So we kicked it off this year. We're also getting ready to open a Helotes City Citizen University. I'll get it right here in a minute. Helotes Citizen University. This is something we started to kick off in 2015. Never quite put it together, so we're going to try again. Hopefully it won't start off as virtual, but it's a 9-week course. Any citizen of Helotes can sign up, and we're going to teach you all about what happens in the city. So look for that online and on social media, and be one of the first people to sign up for our first class in Helotes Citizens University. We're going to try and limit it to about 25 people. We're upgrading the fitness trail park, or the fitness park trail, and the parking areas, and that's something we're doing now. And we're also, our goal is to build a new restroom facility at the fitness park. We're going to try and get that done this year. Our street maintenance, I'll talk about in a little bit, but that's coming up this summer. And we're also installing some new park benches on Riggs Road and Old Bandera Road. And then we're talking about new businesses coming in. Of course, you all have seen Caliber Collisions. They seem to be doing well. State Farm is opening a new office just to the right of where O'Reilly's is. And we have Mary's Taco coming in. They're out of Bernie, and they bought the building there to the right of O'Reilly, and they should be open here, it looks like probably within the next 30 to 60 days. And then we have a new subdivision. Residential homes will be going in behind KFC, and there'll be 22 homes, and it's called Bandera Oaks subdivision. Very small subdivision, but they'll be very nice homes. They will be on smaller lots. And then we have retail shops on Bandera Road, and that's just to the left of Jupi Mills as you're facing that side of the road. And it's under construction now. Okay, talk about TxDOT. We've had TxDOT in our lives for quite a few years. The projections we have for the completion of Hausman Road between Bandera and 1604 is at the end of next month. Of course, it was the end of this month, but since they're not there yet, we're guessing the end of next month, but don't be surprised if it falls into May. But it looks like once it's open, it's going to be really fine improvement to people going that route. And then the end of this year, or right after the first of the year, they'll be letting the new section or segment of Bandera Road, basically from Think Cigars to Tiller's Automotive to down towards 1604. And that's scheduled to begin construction somewhere in the first half of 2022. And it's going to complete that section from 1604 up by north of Bobby J's at that turnaround. And then that'll pretty well complete Highway 16 for a while, as far as we can tell. And just so you'll see on the right, that's down toward Tiller's. On the left, you're coming up toward Diamond K, and then Leslie Road and Hausman are that vertical line, more or less there, a little off-centered to the left. And those are the project limits. This is the Leslie Road Hausman intersection. Good news, bad news. It should help traffic flow, but everything in that area is going to be right turn only. And we questioned that at first, and we've had meetings with it, but that seems to be the trend that TxDOT is going, and they're convinced it's going to be better in the long run. So just know that's right turn only. They've had public hearings and all of that kind of stuff, but this is a little better picture of it. So if you're coming out of Leslie and you want to go north on Bandera Road, you're going to turn right. You'll get into the left turnaround queue, and that'll be right about where PetSmart is. And coming out of Hausman, if you want to go south on Bandera Road, you'll go right on Bandera up to about where Little Caesar's Pizza is, or almost to Diamond K, and you'll do a U-E, and then you can go back to the south. And that's just the way that's going to work. The one win that we did get, and I think it's important to let you all know, is at Stanton Run. For years, those folks have had to do a U-turn at Cedar Trail to get back to their entrance, and we really pressed TxDOT to put a crossover there. So for anybody that knows anybody that lives in Stanton Run, they're going to have their own crossover to where they don't have to go up and do a U-turn at Cedar Trail. So we think that's a pretty big win on our part for at least to bringing that up to TxDOT, and they actually did it. So we're pleased with that. Okay, street maintenance projects. Just want to fill you in a little bit on what we're doing the last 3 years, and again, this is that dedicated account. Our 1/4% sales tax goes to street improvements, and for 3 years now, we've done some pretty major street resurfacing and mill and overlay and those types of things. This summer, we're going to be doing what's called an H5 mastic. It's a high density mineral bond. It's a emulsified asphalt that'll go onto the streets, and we're going to be doing that in Iron Horse Canyon, in the first 5 little communities in our Iron Horse Canyon. It'll be Riata, the Enclave, and the Mesa on the right going up the hill, and it'll be on the first dadgummit. My mind's blank, but that first unit on the left, and then the hills up toward the top of the hill on the left. Those 5 communities will be getting the HA5. Then we're going to be microsurfacing Iron Horse Way from Antonio all the way up to the estates, and that's a 1/4 inch more or less surface treatment that'll just give a new surface to the street. And then we'll be restriping Cedar Trail, not Cedar Trail, Iron Horse Way. Iron Horse Way will get new striping and microsurfacing. Then we're also going to be microsurfacing all of the streets in Hunter's Ridge subdivision. And we're doing that just to spruce that street surface up, because we did a lot of crack sealing, and it'll be nice cosmetically, but it'll increase the life of all of these streets anywhere from 7 to 12 years. And we're just real pleased to be able to do that. And that's our major project, and it's going to be pretty extensive. It's going to be tough on those folks because we're going to have to limit parking on the streets, and I know that's very important to those folks, but that'll all be explained to you as we get closer to doing the projects. And as I mentioned, we'll be doing some striping. We're also going to be doing Braun Road, Shanefield, and Gaume. Maybe not all of them, but part of them will be restriped. Okay, and this is just a summary of the last 3 years of projects that we have done and the revenues that we've received. And then you see the project for 2021. We're projecting our revenues this year at almost $750,000. That's that 0.25% sales tax that we receive. We're getting anywhere from $50,000 to $80,000 a month off of that. And then this project is striping and everything, going to fall somewhere a little over 600,000. There's some variables in there that will make that change, but that's basically it. Okay, this is just a quick summary, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Just tell you these are projects that we've recently completed. I say recently, within the last 2 to 5 years, and it just shows you how we can leverage money. And that's always important to me, if we can leverage money. And this includes the flood control bridge at FM 1560 between Alta Loma and Saltillo Flat, the FM 1560 realignment project behind the Shell station and Burger King, the Hausman Road expansion that we just talked about, French Creek drainage, which is a major Bexar County flood control project between Evans Valley and Cedar Springs, and the Cedar Trail culvert, which was completed I'm thinking 2019. But that's a total of about $25.15 million worth of work by TxDOT and Bexar County. Our contribution was only required on 3 of those projects. The other 2 did not require matches. And you can see the city match. The most expensive was the flood control bridge on 1560, but for $442,000, we were able to get about $25 million worth of work done. That's what I call leveraging our dollars. And that's what it's all about. We'll have matches on 2 more TxDOT projects coming up. The one that I just mentioned a little while ago, we have a match of $1,703 on that one, which the council approved, and we're already processing that. And then there's going to be a match on the expansion of 1560 from Riggs Road to Gulm and Shanefield, and that match is going to be a little over $284,000, and we're working with TxDOT on that. And that's for land acquisition mainly. We have a 10% match requirement for land acquisition, and that's what brings that up. My slides are disappearing, Marion. Here we go. I've got a little bit of a delay here for some reason. Hey, that's technology, right? And that's what makes these virtual presentations so much fun and interesting. But just this is something that a picture we took a couple of years ago when we were doing the signage for the fitness park. And I don't know if you've ever been to the fitness park, but each fitness station has a little sign with a QR code. And the QR code, if you put that on your phone, you'll see a video of how to use that piece of equipment. And that's something that I had read in an article and asked the staff if they knew how to do QR codes, and by golly, they knew how to do it, and they made it work. This is all the fitness instructors that came out and helped us for a couple of days. That kiosk that you see there is one of the main features of the fitness park, and that's an Eagle Scout project. In fact, all of the pavilions were Eagle Scout projects, and the birdhouses that are on posts around the fitness park was an Eagle Scout project. And so that's 6 Eagle Scout projects there, and we've had 2 at City Hall. I've always enjoyed working with Eagle Scout candidates and the city becoming the beneficiary of the project. And so whenever you're out at the fitness park and you use those pavilions, just know those are all Eagle Scouts that did that. And we have a name plaque by each one of them recognizing their efforts. I got a blank screen. I should have these memorized by now. Okay, here we go. I think I have to hit it twice. Let me try it a couple more times. Okay, this is just, again, the fitness park and disc golf course. I don't know if you guys have ever been over there. If you haven't played disc golf, you're missing a lot of fun. And if you haven't gone on the fitness course, you're missing a lot of exercise. But this just shows some things. Most of the equipment, the Public Works Department and Bert Byes and I And Josh Mayer, our public works supervisor, he was basically our public works crew many years ago. We actually built most of those. And then we have 7 stations that we bought and installed. But Public Works is responsible for just about everything there in the fitness park. The disc golf course is a few years older, and Josh was instrumental in that. And that was a lot of fun. We designed it ourselves, and it is now on the Disc Golf Association's route, and it's known as one of the best mid-range courses in Bexar County in this part of Texas. We actually had tournaments out there through the years. So that's a little bit about the fitness park, and by God, it's getting a lot of use. This good weather, it's crowded every day. Then I wanted to talk about the pedestrian bridge. You can't help but probably have seen the pedestrian bridge in Old Town. It's a project that I had been working on for many, many years, and circumstances just came about to where we were able to present it to both the council and to the EDC. It was a city project, but the EDC funded it. They provided a little over $400,000 for the design and installation of the bridge, and it was actually installed on July 17th of 2019. It was shipped down here in 2 parts from up north, Michigan or Minnesota, I think Michigan, and we had a company out of Bulverde that built the abutments for it. It's a 130-foot 6-inch span, and they had anchor bolts set at each end on the abutments, and there was 1/8 inch tolerance on each end of the bridge, and everybody was had their fingers crossed the day it was lifted into place, but it fit perfectly, and all they had to do is tighten the nuts down onto the bolts, and then we poured the concrete on the slab, and we've got a great pedestrian bridge that makes it a lot safer for pedestrians in Old Town. And we just recognized the installation with a plaque down there, and you can see the finished product. If you haven't walked on the pedestrian bridge, you need to do it. It's one of the thrills of being in Old Town. And then I wanted to let you just see some of the new vehicles we've purchased. In 2011, I presented a new way to purchase vehicles, mainly for police vehicles. It's a lease plan by Ford Motor Credit. And so we were able to buy multiple vehicles for about the price of one if we paid cash. So we generally buy 2 to 3 new patrol vehicles each year, and on a four-year rotation, try and get them out of here when they turn about 100,000 miles. Some of them squeak over 100,000. Some of them go just under 100,000, but that 4-year rotation is a pretty standard deal. And we have we had 2 new ones last year, and we have 2 coming in probably this in April. And then it takes us a little while to take all the equipment out of one, put it in the new one, and get the decals on and everything. So we're going to be getting rid of one of these vehicles, and then the other one will come to the admin department, and it'll be a hand-me-down. We also bought a new animal control truck you see up there in the top right. This is something we've needed for a long time because we do have a lot of animals out now, and Dustin Blosky, our animal control and code compliance officer, is out there a lot taking care of animals. So this unit was custom made for us in Waco. We bought the chassis and sent the chassis to Waco, and it's totally air conditioned. It's heated and cooled, and it's just a really nice compartment for the animals that are picked up, and it makes it a lot safer for the animals, and also keeps them comfortable while they're being transported. And we have a way to check chips here on dogs. And if we can find the owners, we do. Those that we can't, we either take them to Chavano Park Veterinary Hospital or the Helotes Humane Society, and they keep them until we can find the owner or they're adopted out. And then Public Works, we usually always buy at least 1 Public Works vehicle, and also fire department vehicles. And we also in that program bought 2 Ford Focuses in 2019. For our criminal investigation division of our police department, so that our detectives would have some good vehicles to do their work in. So overall, it's really turned out to be a good purchase program. And you'll see on the left that carport cover. We just finished that a couple of months ago, and that protects our vehicles police vehicles from the weather, mainly the sun. The sun is real tough on the computers and other equipment in those cars. And so we finally were able to put together a project and get that done. And so that's a big asset to the complex here. I want to just hit on the dispatch center. As I said earlier, the dispatch center is kind of the heartbeat of our emergency services departments. They dispatch for our police, fire, EMS, public works, animal control, and code compliance departments. We have 7 or 8 full-time dispatchers. I was going to say 7 full-time plus our supervisor, but she's included in the 8. So we have 8 full-time dispatchers. Would like to point out that we require, and we're the only dispatch center or public service answering point in our region that requires all of our dispatchers to be certified emergency medical dispatchers. That means that they have a flip chart that's approved by the medical profession, and they can, while they're on the phone with a caller, give medical advice using that flip chart for everything from arterial bleeding to childbirth to heart attack, CPR, you name it, it's in that flip chart. And they are certified to give medical instructions to the caller to help a patient until the paramedics get there. And we are the only dispatch center in this region that requires all of that, all of our dispatchers to have that designation. Right now, 7 of them do. Our newest dispatcher will soon go into that training so that she'll be also a certified EMD. Like to point out that they generally take between 2,500 and 3,000 calls a month in our dispatch center. Of that average, about 461 are 911 calls. And that's from March 1st of 2020 in this particular sampling to February 28th of this year. And that's 5,534 calls that were logged in. And all of this is tracked by Barometro 911. Every call, we know exactly how many seconds the caller was on before the call was answered, if they were put on hold, those types of things. All of that information is available to us. So we can tell you that of that 911 calls, the 5,534, a little over 97% of those calls were answered by our dispatchers in less than 10 seconds. And that's pretty good. We never had anything show that took longer than 40 seconds, and that was a very small percentage, but that was up close to 100% that were answered in 40 seconds or less. But the important thing is 97+% of our calls are answered in less than 10 seconds. Our dispatch center was recognized statewide in the Texas Municipal Leagues magazine, Texas Town and City, for not only their excellence and their efficiency, but also for our community service programs. And this is the dispatch department that brought all these things to the forefront. They've had CPR marathons here that last all day. And so people that come in, they're all free to the public, but anyone that wants to learn how to do CPR, we instruct them and they go out of here certified to do CPR. They've also had a couple of classes of the Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT, and this is something that was new to me, but we had people come from as far away as New Braunfels and Kerrville to be in our classes. And what that is they're just a volunteer that we can call on. If we have something catastrophic happen here, we can reach out to our CERT members and they'll come in and help in search and rescue and those kinds of things. Then we've also had classes in Stop the Bleed and Until Help Arrives. And this is just all part of what our dispatch center does for our community. And then we're also part of the Skywarn Spotter Training Program, where you can learn to be a weather spotter. And one thing that I thoroughly enjoy is talking to scouts and school students, mainly elementary school. We've had through the years many classes come in here, many scout troops, and we bring them into the council chambers and just talk a little bit about city government and how things work. And then we take them for a tour of all of our departments, and they especially like the police department and fire department and EMS, and also public works. The public works guys get a kick out of showing them how cones and barricades work, how the skid steer works. and those kinds of things. So the kids go out of here well educated about how the city works. And I think most of them have lunch out in the playground behind here. So it's really a fun thing that we do that not many people realize. The reason I'm going backwards. Okay. Something that we're all in withdrawals about is our city events. We typically have 26 city events. Last year, we were only able to have 3. Those were marketplaces, January through March. So again, Marion got here just in time not to have to do any city events. I think she did one, the March marketplace, but after that, nothing. And so we're glad to say that with the governor lifting the COVID restrictions, we're now planning our first marketplace since last March, so a full year. This will be on April 10th, and that's the second weekend, and we didn't do it the first weekend, of course, because of Easter, but the first marketplace, and we're going to be running at about half capacity. We typically have about 240 booths, but to provide for social distancing and just to make people a little more comfortable for a while, we're going to be running at about half of that at 100 to 110 booths if we can get that many. And I understand we're pretty well booked up for April, which is a great thing. And so that'll run from 10 to 5, just as always. And then on May 1st, we're planning our Carnival Parade. And last I heard, we had about 40 entries so far. So it looks like the parade's going to be a go for May 1st. That again, we didn't have one last year. And then we're starting our movie nights at the park. And that's just one of our biggest and most popular events for families here at City Hall. It's the 3rd Friday of each month, May through September, movie night at the park. And our first movie on May 21st will be Toy Story 4. All of our movies this year are Disney movies, and I'll show them to you in just a second. But this is just a picture collage of some of the events that we've had. And we are planning at this point the Independence Day celebration on July 3rd. And we'll have fireworks, and hopefully the band will be able to play as they always do. And this is just some shots of the 2019 Independence Day celebration. If you've never been to our Independence Day celebration, you really need to come. The music is great by the Helotes Area Community Band, all patriotic stuff. And then we have free hot dogs, apple pie, and ice cream that we give away every year. It's just a great time. We generally have 1,000+ people here on the grounds. That may be a little bit of a challenge with the remnants of COVID, but we have time to work that out. But we are planning some kind of Independence Day celebration and fireworks. And this is our movie selection. The second movie is Aladdin, then The Lion King, then Onward, and then Mulan. Again, they're all Disney movies, and should be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll have a good turnout. So if you're looking for something to do, good family fun entertainment, everything's free except the food. That we do have food vendors here, but we generally have a business that comes out and cooks hot dogs. So if you're interested in that, get a hold of Andrea Wazir here at City Hall, and her number is 695-5916, and let her know you're interested in cooking some hot dogs and giving them away. Great way to advertise. And then I'm going to close out with the Helotes Area Community Band. This is an organization that's sponsored by the city. It's not a nonprofit organization. We started it in July of 2008 with 7 band members, and we now have an average of 60 to 65 volunteer musicians that come in here, and they provide the entertainment at most of our city events. And the Veterans Day concert is built around the band. The Independence Day celebration is built around the band. But really 2 things that we're really proud of is in March of 2015 and 19, we took them to the Capitol building in Austin, and they played a concert in the rotunda of the state Capitol. That was March 6th of 2015 and March 8th of 2019. And I tell you what, there's nothing like hearing the Aggie War Hymn rocking down the halls of the state Capitol and hearing a few hoops going on and some giggums. The only price I have to pay to get the Aggie War Hymn played is I have to listen to the eyes of Texas. And so that's kind of a balance. It takes the fun out of having the Aggie war hymn, but hey, it's a price well paid. But that's been 2 fun trips. And then last March they played at the Pearl downtown, and an outdoor concert, and it was well attended, and it was a fun deal. And that's the last event that they were able to do before COVID. And so they're now getting back into rehearsals and hoping to get cranked back up this year. And by golly, I believe that's it, and we're open for questions. Hopefully I didn't take too long here.
You're good. We did have a few questions. Someone asked, is the TxDOT plan for State Highway 16 available on the city's website?
I don't think it's on the city website. It is on the TxDOT website. So you can go to TxDOT, just Google TxDOT. I don't remember their exact web address, but just go to Highway 16 Helotes or however it's designated, and you can pull up all of the information. And I believe they'll even have the public hearing information that was on there. It's all accessible. If you don't have any luck with that, let us know and we'll help you with it.
One other question, someone would like you to clarify what you mean by leverage money.
Leverage money? Leverage money just basically means when it's just a term that's used for finances, but it's like if you're, well, the example I had, we contributed $442,000 to $25 million worth of projects. So our commitment was $442,000. We leveraged that $442,000 into $25 million worth of work. And that's what I mean by leveraging. We didn't have to pay the $25 million. We got it done, but it only cost us $442,000. So hopefully that answers the question.
That's all the questions.
That's it? Two questions?
I see one more question.
Okay.
This one says, did I hear the mayor say that Stanton Run will finally obtain a crossover into the subdivision without having to go to the light and do a U-turn at Cedar Trail?
Can they hear that, or do I need to repeat it? The question that came in is, did I really say Stanton Run will now have a dedicated crossover to where the residents in Stanton Run will not have to go to Cedar Trail and turn around? And yes, that is what I said. In our first meeting with TxDOT, that was not included in the plan. And as soon as I saw that it was not included in the plan, I was very adamant, and I said the only way we will really be 100%, well, I don't know that we're 100% behind this thing with some of the design features, but I said the only way we're really going to support this is if you put these folks a dedicated crossover. And so they looked at it, and the second time they came back to us, they said they worked it out and they are going to have that crossover. So as of now, yes, Stanton Run will have its own dedicated crossover to where they don't have to go to Cedar Trail. Hopefully that's good news, and at least one person from Stanton Run was listening. What else? Anything? Well, gosh, I got to tell you guys, you know, I enjoyed going to the ribbon cutting at the beer garden last Saturday in Old Town. I did that. When I say I enjoyed it, it's the first time I've seen some of you for a year, and it just I'm hoping we can really get everybody out and about again. It was just so good to see some faces without masks too, by the way, which was a good thing. So I can't tell you how much we miss you guys. Hope you guys all we can get together within the next month or two and have some fun just visiting. So with that, I guess I'm done.
Someone else did ask, when is the next brush pickup?
When is the next brush pickup? It'll come out on the back of the bills. I don't know when it's going to start. It should be next month. Do you guys know? I haven't seen this.
May. It starts in May.
Starts in May. So probably the first part of May, and then it'll go each week. It'll change to a different area, but it'll be on the back and it'll be on next door, right?
It'll be on next door. It'll be on the back. It will also be emailed with their bill.
Yeah. If you get an email, a bill emailed to you, it'll be on your email. If you get a paper bill, it'll be on the back. and it'll be on next door once the dates are firm.
They can also contact city staff and we'll send them a link.
And Marion says you can contact city staff and we'll send you a link. So hopefully that answers that question. That it? No more questions?
No more questions.
Again, thanks guys. Looking forward to seeing all of you, and hope you enjoyed the presentation. Any questions that pop into your head, always feel free to call City Hall. The staff and I are always here and ready to help you with any problems you have. And as always, I want to tell the businesses here in Helotes and our surrounding area, you guys are just, I know it's been tough. I know that it's been a struggle for some of you, and we're just, our hearts go out to you. We're so glad you're still here and your doors are open. Anything we can do to help you, feel free to call. I know we've slackened up on some things here to certain permit fees and all that kind of stuff. We'll continue helping you as much as we can. But you guys mean the world to us, and we couldn't do it without you. So with that, we'll see you.